Hey y'all, it's Bobby with Point Firearms, and today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going over my reloading recipe for 38 Special. Alright, we're going to be loading some round-nosed lead bullets into our cases, but I'll show you guys everything that you're going to need and how to get started right now. The first step in reloading any kind of brass, whether it be 38 Special or 40 or 45, is to tumble the brass to clean all the loose carbon out of it, as well as any oils or film or rust or anything like that that may be on the case. Once your brass is tumbled for the amount of time that you want it to tumble for, then we'll just take our separator, dump all the media brass and everything into the separator. Close our separator up. So if you don't have a progressive press and you're going to use a single stage press, it's basically the same concept as installing your dies into the turret on a progressive press. In this case, what you're going to be using is a single stage press. This is our first stage in the die process, which is the full length sizer and decapping die or depriming die, and then you have a shell holder, a single shell holder. Slides on there, you run the ram up. You drive this down until it touches, you lock it down, and you're ready to go. And what I do is if I'm going to use single stage, I do it in steps. So I'll take and I'll do like all of this stage, all of the resizing and decapping for the amount of brass I'm going to do, and then I'll move on to the next stage. So to resize and decap on a single stage, you just place your brass in there, run it up through there, it knocks out the old primer and resizes the brass, and you're good to go again. So then you just start trucking. Alright, this is a Hornady hand priming tool, and it's a pretty simple concept. This is the tray that your primers go in. This is your press mechanism. You're going to go ahead and use your single case shell holder. Place it right in here. And then stick this little guy with a spring on it right inside here. Just like that. And now when we have primers in here, you'll squeeze the handle and it'll push it right up into the bottom of the case. So let's go ahead and load some up. I'm going to be using Winchester small pistol primers today. Sometimes I use CCI, sometimes I use Winchester. It doesn't really make a difference, to be honest with you. I tend to use CCI most of the time, just because the guy that taught me to reload, that's what he used, and you just tend to stick with what you learn with. Give it a little shake. Spin all those primers over. Sometimes you gotta give them a little help. Feed them right into the trough there. And then you just slide your case right on there. Give it a little press. Pull it off and you've got a new primer seated. If you don't have a progressive press and you're going to be single stage pressing all of them, then you'll definitely need a hand primer. Also, like I've talked about, this is the way I do all of my rounds, just because I don't like the inconsistencies in the Lee progressive primer system. So I hand primer all of mine. That way I know, I know they're good and I don't have to worry about it. So it doesn't take that long. Alright guys, so at this point we've got all of our 38 special brass cleaned, resized, and new primers put in them. Alright, and so now we're going to go over something that's pretty important. Okay, this is going to be your this is probably the most crucial part in your reloading. Now, like I've made mention before, if you're using Lee products, your Lee dies come with really actually pretty good load data. Alright, this is in with your dies. Alright, and it's got all the instructions on how to set your dies up, and then it's got the load data here. So it's got good stuff in it. Alright, I use this quite often actually to get kind of a basis as to where I want to start when I load my rounds. Now, every gun is going to react differently to different amounts of loads and so on and so forth. Some people like to load their rounds hot, meaning they like a little bit more power behind them. Some people like them low so that they can target shoot with it. Mine, most of the stuff that I reload for preparation or for prepping, and it's going to be for home security or stockpiling or whatever. And so I load a semi-hot load. All right, it's a little bit more than the minimum required for target shooting or whatever, but I know that it's got enough kick to get out there and be accurate and still be deadly. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about load data. This is my recipe for my load. Alright, I use a 150 grain round nose hand cast bullet using the Lee bullet cast, alright, bullet mold. So I make them out of lead wheel weights. And you guys have probably seen the videos on that. I'm using 150 grain round nose lead bullet. Nothing special about my brass, just some Winchester small pistol primers. And I'm going to load these today with 4 grains of Alliant powder power pistol. Alright, now you can use several different types of powder. This is just my recipe. I use Alliant powder power pistol. Alright, and we're going to seat the bullet to 1.400. Alright, so you'll need your caliper to make sure that you have your dies set at the right depth. We're going to load to 1.400. Alright, and then I put a light crimp on them. These are revolver rounds, so they don't have to be crimped to run in a semi-automatic. So I'm going to put a very light crimp on them. Now, as far as setting up your powder dispenser, you can actually use this with a single stage press, but to set it up, check out the setting up your Lee auto disc powder dispenser video that I have. It'll walk you through the steps of setting everything up, but just for all intents and purposes, to get your 4 grains, if you run powder disc .37, that will give you 4 grains of powder using the power pistol. Now, that's another thing that you need to keep in mind. Just because I'm using .37 and I'm getting 4 grains on the power pistol doesn't mean that if I put unique in there that I'm going to run .37 and get 4 grains of unique. Different powders have different textures and they fit differently into the disc. Some of them are different weights. So depending on that is going to depend on what you do. So it's always important to use your scale and run a few cycles through to make sure that you're actually dropping the right amount of powder that you want, and you're dropping it consistently. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started loading these up. I'm excited. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take my my brass and pour it into my hopper here. That's a loud ruckus, but you can see now that my tubes are all full, and so I'm going to be using my auto feeder on there, and I'm going to grab my 150 grain round nose lead tip, pan lubed, and sized with the Lee sizing die, and that's what we're going to be loading in here. So let's go ahead and get some loaded up. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, I've got about 10 loaded. I'm going to go ahead and take my scale. Alright, and I'm just going to check a few of these and see where they're weighing at. 225. Just to make sure that we're pretty consistent. 224.3. 224.8. It's just going to give us kind of a consistent, average. That one's a little heavy, 229.2. So just kind of gives us an idea that we're, getting the right amount of powder in there, that the powder drop is pretty even, which we've already checked the powder drop. And it's, pretty consistent throughout, so they all look pretty good so far. Alright, so now what I'll do is about 1 out of every 10, I'll go ahead and check it. Looks like our magic number is right around 224. 225 grains, somewhere around there. So that'll be our magic number, and every now and then we'll just go ahead and check one to make sure that we're still shooting consistently. Alright, so now what I'll do is I've got our bullets loaded up. They're primed, powder charge, and bullet in. Now got a nice little crimp on it. So now what I'm going to do is physically check all the bullets and put them into cases if they are good to go. Basically what I'm doing is just checking for any cracks in the brass or compression marks or anything like that to make sure that it's safe to fire. That's why we QC. That corner of that round didn't seat right. So this is actually the case being pushed down. This is the bullet itself right there. So that's why we do QCs. Alright guys, well that's pretty much it on reloading the way my recipe and how to reload 38 Special. I hope you guys got some information out of here that could really help you, whether it be on setting up your dies to reload 38 Special, or whether it be the recipe that I use, the powder that I use, or the bullets, or whatever. But anyway guys, reloading, it's definitely something that you need to know what you're doing, and you need to know how to do it properly so that you don't injure yourself with a blown up gun, or somebody getting shot, or whatever, somebody getting blown up in the face. So definitely take the time to learn how to do it properly, and do a lot of research, figure out what the dangers are, and so on and so forth, and then that way you're more aware of what you're getting into before you get into it. But anyway guys, until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please rate the video and consider subscribing to Point Firearms. But until next time, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, and most importantly guys, have fun. See you guys later.